The components of a cathedral roof frame. The walls can be common framed with 2x4 or 2x6 studs. Due to more recent insulation codes, most walls today are framed with 2x6 studs to allow for the proper insulation. 2x4 studs are still allowable, but a much more expensive type of insulation must be used: closed-cell spray foam insulation, as opposed to traditional fiberglass roll-in insulation. Another way to frame walls, specifically for screen porch construction, is a post and beam system. The post and beam system uses 4x4s or 6x6 posts to attach the deck and carry the beam above. The beam above is typically a double 2x10 or a triple 2x8 depending on the specs. Headers are small beams, typically double or triple 2x6, that go above a window or door units. Headers transfer the roof load around the windows and doors so that they don't have problems when used. Headers are used in non-portal framing situations. Portal framing is used when there are large openings, as in a sunroom. With portal framing, an LVL, which is laminated veneer lumber, is built around the perimeter of the room and connected to columns with hardware. Ridge posts are posts that extend from the top of the wall up to the ridge. The ridge sits directly on top of the ridge posts and is connected with hardware. Ridge beam is the beam at the peak of the gable roof. For framing an open cathedral ceiling, the ridge beam has to be rather substantial, typically an 11 7/8 inch LVL or a 14 inch LVL. All of the rafters tie into the LVL at its peak. Hardware is used to connect rafters to the LVL. Laminated veneer lumber, LVL, is an engineered wood product that uses multiple layers of thin wood assembled with adhesives. It is typically used for headers, beams, rim board, and edge forming material. LVLs offer several advantages over typical milled lumber. Made in a factory under controlled specifications, it's stronger, straighter, and more uniform. Due to its composite nature, it is much less likely than conventional lumber to warp, twist, bow, or shrink. Rafters are the roof joists, typically spaced 24 inches on center. They extend from the tops of the walls to the peak of the ridge, forming the frame structure of the roof. The rafters are connected to the ridge beam with a Simpson utility hanger, and are also connected to the wall with a Simpson hurricane tie. A rafter strap is also installed on top of the rafters. Utility hanger. A 90-degree piece of steel, typically about 6 inches long, that's used to connect two pieces of wood that are perpendicular to each other. For roof framing purposes, the utility hanger connects the rafter to the ridge beam. Hurricane tie. A piece of hardware that's used to fasten the rafters to the walls. Rafter straps. Used when trying to create an open cathedral ceiling without collar ties. The rafter strap straddles the ridge beam so that 12 inches of the rafter strap is on each side of the rafter on both sides of the ridge. Plywood sheathing typically comes in 4x8 sheets. 5/8 inch OSB is typically the most used for roof framing. The sheathing is installed on top of the rafters. Gutter board is the 2x6 piece of framing material that's installed on the ends of the rafter tails. The rafters hang over the wall, creating an overhang. The gutter board is attached to the end of the rafters so that the trim and eventually gutter can be installed. The rake is an overhang that is installed on the front of the gable. You want to match the overhang created by rafter tails, but on the front of the gable, since there is no overhang, a small wall, typically 8 to 12 inches, must be framed and installed on the front of the gable. The plywood sheathing covers the rake and the rafters, making a seamless roof.